Am I wrong for telling my always late friends an earlier time so that we'd actually be on time? So I, 32 female, have been friends with this group of people, 30, 31, and 32 female, since high school. I love them all to death, but Jesus Christ, on a cruise ship when we plan something, they are always consecutively late. Every single time, and it drives me nuts. One year, they almost made us miss our flight home, and they always say that they forgot the time or thought they had more and just goofed around. It has got to the point where I will meet them because I refuse to get caught up in the drama. Last year, I left on my own accord to the airport because they were all passed out and would not wake up. They missed checkout and had to pay for an extra day. Then they barely made it to the airport in time for their flights. Apparently, I'm pushy for ensuring we leave at a certain time, considering traffic, possible accidents, or delays, and even looking up shortcuts in case. Throughout the year, sharing a ride with them has almost made me late to work before. Lesson learned, so now I take an extra day off just in case. Our vacations themselves are fun and easygoing. So this vacation was pretty smooth up until the end. We all decided to choose a night where we would plan all the events. Mine was Friday. It was a fairly relaxing day. I scheduled a pedicure for 9:30 a.m. and I told them it was at 8:45. They showed up at 9:15 and were surprised we got in so quickly. I reserved a table for us for lunch at 1 p.m. and I told them it was at 12:30. They arrived at 12:52 with the same reaction. That night, I had reserved us a table at this really nice dining establishment for 7:30 and I told them 6:45. They arrived at 7:10 and it was a great night. Sunday, when we were going home, I said my goodbyes, checked out of the hotel room, and took my separate Uber to the airport for my 2 p.m. flight home. I got home around 8 and turned on my phone to the equivalent to an assault on my group chat. Apparently, they had left late again and one of them missed their flight and they were all arguing about it. I told my roomie what was going on and what I did, and she said that was rude of me to manipulate their time like that. She knows one of the girls and told her what I did, and now all of the girls are mad at me. My Friday scheduling had absolutely nothing to do with one missing their flight. So, am I the asshole? Oh my god. One of my biggest pet peeves are people who are late. And the fact that they want to throw this back at you like it's your fault. Like, why would you tell us a different time? Like, why were we on time for once? Like, get out of here. That's such a very, 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 very bad habit. Not be on time. Like, to miss a flight is like, because of poor time management skills. Like, that's not your problem. You're already home. They can chill out. Am I wrong for refusing to be a bridesmaid in my sister's wedding? I, 24 female, have a sister, 28 female, Lexi. Lexi and I used to be really close and she was basically my best friend. However, around 7 or 8 months ago, I found out my boyfriend, Jonah, was cheating on me with her. And now they're getting married in August. Ew, so weird, so disgusting. We hadn't talked since then until she called me the other day asking me if I would be one of her bridesmaids. I told her I didn't want to do that and she was messed up for even asking that. She said that it would mean a lot to her since I'm her only sister. It didn't mean a lot to you when you were sleeping with her boyfriend. Like, what the double standard? She also told me that she already bought the dress. Then said I would be letting her down and wasting the money she spent on the dress. I said that just because she bought me a dress doesn't mean I have to be in her wedding. Okay, this is already, from reading that little, she's already a manipulative piece of shit. Okay, keep this woman out of your life. You don't need her. Like, move on. She's dead to you. She started crying and telling me how I was being insensitive and holding a grudge against her. Yeah, because you, disgusting. Why would you sleep? Why would you look at your sister's boyfriend like that? Like, that's so weird to me. I tried to tell her that I was sorry, but she didn't listen and hung up. Wait, why would you apologize? The fudge? Why would you apologize? Now, yesterday my parents invited me over for dinner, but what I didn't know is that Lexi had called them and told them what I said. So halfway through dinner, my mom out of nowhere says that I should be Lexi's bridesmaid. I told her I really didn't want to. She then said that Lexi told her what happened and that I shouldn't care about Jonah and just do it for Lexi. I said I was not going to be in a wedding with my cheating ex-boyfriend and watch him marry my sister. My dad got angry and called me selfish and kicked me out of their house. I'm sorry, why is anyone attending this wedding? Why are they okay with this? Like, is this not a problem for her to be doing that? Like, that's so... Like, why are they promoting it or acting like it's okay? Like, just get over it. My parents haven't spoken to me, neither has Lexi. I feel like a bitch now, but I also feel like I deserve to feel angry. I'm just so conflicted on what to do. Am I wrong for saying no? Absolutely not. They're gaslighting you. They're manipulating you. You were done so dirty. You were done so wrong. I'm surprised your parents are even holding this wedding or attending this wedding. If that was me, I would shun that person out completely. Like, get out. Like, you're not part of my family anymore. Like, you don't do that to family or people you care about. Am I wrong for not inviting my sister and her kids to Disney with my brother and his kids because I know she can't afford it? I haven't taken my kids on a real vacation since pre-pandemic, but now that we are all vaccinated, I want to take them to Disneyland. My brother Jack, whose kids are about the same age as mine, feel the same. Disneyland is expensive. The trip will cost about $8,000 for each family. My brother and I both have great jobs, so the money is not a struggle for us. My sister Jane is always talking about how broke and underpaid she is and complaining about her student loans. I don't know her salary, but she's a social worker, so I know it's not a ton. Well, my brother and I figured she wouldn't be able to afford it based on a couple of weeks ago when we brought up the idea of a vacation at a Labor Day cookout, and she just went on about how she wishes she could afford a family vacation. Well, since she said she couldn't, we just didn't invite her and planned a trip with our wives and our kids. This weekend, people were over and my nephew, Jack's son, brought up how excited he is for Disney, to which Jane asked about and the details came out. And then Jane got all mad for not getting invited. I told her I didn't invite her because she literally said she couldn't afford a vacation. She then said that I was rubbing it in that we make more money than her and that we could have covered part of her trip and then had a real family vacation with everyone. I just felt that as we're all adults with our own families, we're past the age that I'd be subsidizing her for anything that's not an emergency. But then yesterday she sent a really passive-aggressive text about it basically calling us assholes. So, am I?
Am I wrong for calling my friend irresponsible for what she did while babysitting my child? I, female 29, have a phobia of horses. Phobias are irrational fears, and I don't think my fear is irrational, but everyone else in my life keeps calling it a phobia. I do like animals, but horses are just not it for me. When I was around 8 years old, a horse attacked me unprovoked and nearly killed me, and I was hospitalized. My best friend Eliza, female 29, is the opposite of me. When we were in high school, she was your stereotypical horse girl. She owns some horses of her own now and is still obsessed with horses. I don't interact with Eliza's horses and never have. I respect that we can have our own interests and Eliza and I can have different things to talk about. I have a daughter, Tanya, who's 4, and Eliza occasionally kindly volunteers to babysit for me. Eliza has her own daughter of a similar age and they play together nicely. Last week, I asked Eliza to babysit for me so me and my partner could go to my cousin's child-free wedding, and she agreed. I paid Eliza to babysit and gave her some extra money to get herself and the girls takeout. Well, when after I picked Tanya up and was driving home, Tanya was telling me about how she sat on a horsey. At first, I thought that Tanya was talking about a toy rocking horsey, but then she told me how she fed the horsey some apples. When I got home, I called Eliza and asked if she had my daughter interact with the horses. At first, Eliza denied everything and said that she didn't know what I was talking about. But when I said that Tanya told me about it, Eliza admitted that she held Tanya while she sat on one of her horses and let Tanya help feed one of her horses. She went on and on about how safe it was and that she was in complete control of the situation, that the horse was standing completely still when she held Tanya on the horse's back. I told Eliza that what she did was irresponsible and doing it behind my back was unacceptable. I was so angry and uncomfortable. She said that I'm overreacting because of my phobia and said that Tanya was completely safe and how she knows so much about horses. I said that I didn't care and that she should think about what she did. My family thinks that I overreacted and that I should apologize to Eliza, that I'm projecting my phobia onto my daughter. So, am I in the wrong here? I'm not usually petty, but when I am epically petty. Now to preface this, I'll start by saying that my current husband and I have been besties since we were 14. We married other people, had families, and generally lived our lives. My first husband died and they were also friends. It was a terrible time for all of us. At that time, his wife was throwing fits about him visiting and wouldn't visit herself. She would also say that I'm trying to steal her man like my husband who I loved so much hadn't just died. 2 years passed and he finally leaves her and we're still friends at this point. Eventually we start dating and get married. Fast forward to 18 months ago. My husband's daughter is visiting during her senior year of high school. Due to COVID, she can stay for a few weeks and not worry about missing classes. During this time, she lets me know that she didn't get a graduation announcement nor is she getting any sort of party. This isn't a COVID thing either. Her mom was going to piggyback off of her parents' 50th wedding anniversary party. Well, I'm a professional photographer that specializes in senior portraits. I take a bunch of pics, even though the mom had done some 6 months prior, and make up announcements. By the time the cards show up here, she's already gone home. At that point, I call my stepdaughter and get the names and addresses for people that she wants to send these to. I also add a camping weekend invite for her grad party later in the summer at my house. I send these to everyone, including her bio mom's parents. Slightly petty. Now this leads to a string of events. First, bio mom throws together a party that my husband and our son end up going to. Bio mom did not like that. It also clicked in my brain what this could mean. So then I told my stepdaughter about the car we were going to give her. Not a lie and a beginner beater. So her bio mom goes and gets her a much newer and nicer car. Then I tell my stepdaughter about a cruise that I want her, my daughter, and I to go on. Now her bio mom has booked a Mediterranean cruise for the 2 of them. I get my stepdaughter a duck and chicken, and now the mom has 6 chickens for when the stepdaughter comes to visit. Right now I'm trying to come up with something else. I'm thinking a nice, tasteful piece of jewelry. I will add that the mom has some serious narcissistic traits and made my stepdaughter's life miserable. We were unaware and stepdaughter is living with us and attending weekly therapy sessions. Although lazy, in this I'm spiteful and willing to put forth the time and energy.
Am I the asshole for going off on my husband and his mom for taking/keeping my used pregnancy test? I, female 27, found out that I was pregnant recently. My husband, male 34, and his family are beyond happy and excited. From what I heard, my husband was married 2 times before, but couldn't have kids for 10 years. This is obviously a huge deal for his family because his mom will be a first-time grandma with this baby. As his mom and I were talking about the baby, she told me about how she has already started, quote, making memories by saving keepsakes of her grandbaby. I felt a bit confused and asked if my husband bought something for the baby and then gave it to her. She said no, but he did bring her my used pregnancy test and gave it to her to store as a memory of the news of her grandbaby's existence. I was floored. I looked at my husband like, did you really do that? And he nodded while smiling. After the initial shock, I just went off on both of them, calling what they did creepy and disgusting and highly violating. My husband argued that it was not a huge deal. He just grabbed the test once I got rid of it, put it in a plastic bag, and gifted it to his mom as a keepsake. I told him it made me feel violated and creeped out because the test had my literal pee on it. His mom said something about taking care of the smell, and I lashed out even more and demanded they get rid of it. But they kept arguing, calling me controlling. My husband started arguing about how all of this was just an overreaction and said that I ruined his and his family's joy by how I behaved after finding out about the pregnancy test. Did I overreact?
What do you guys think on this one?
No way. No way. If you took my pee stick and gave it to your mom, that'd be so weird.
So that's where I'm curious. Is there the issue here? Does it lie within the fact of keeping the test or the gifting of the test?